Good morning, Bitcoiners. I hope you're doing well. I'm loving my life. Who could complain on a day like today? Who could complain? Nobody. Life's going great. Let's see what the chat's saying. Chat much slower on the Rumble Studio, but that's okay. That's okay. I'll wait for a few of you folks to stream on in. I've repaired a cable on my mic and believe it will ever so slightly increase the quality of this breakup morning gathering. Got a good daughter chosen thumbnail for today. My daughters love choosing the thumbnail. I have a sick daughter on the bed next to me here watching the show live. Hopefully she listens to daddy's advice and stays nice and quiet, right? But she's okay. She's sick. She might need something. We're okay. Christine, good morning. Hope you're doing well. I'm loving my life. I'm loving my life. Hoddle T, Washington. Morning, Breakup Gang. Morning, Hoddle T. Aqualodge. Good morning. Sluggo, 123. Hope you're doing well. Don Bowley. You are not the only one. Indeed. We're doing great. Glenn says, good morning, Charles. Red Portrait of Demons is a good one. I didn't hate the portrait. I did not hate it. Good morning, Bitcoin Deb. Good morning, team. Hope you're all doing well. We're doing great. P-Man says, good morning. Keep it clean this morning. I don't have a choice. Daniel, good morning. I hope you're doing well, Daniel. I hope you're doing well. All right, let's acknowledge. We got a nice sunrise happening behind us. It's as sunny as it's been since I've been back from Barbados, isn't it? We'll take it. And Bitcoin's running all around the world. We're doing great. Let's have a coffee, talk about what's new. I timed this coffee so I could finish the coffee. I had plenty of coffee this morning. Jigs Jeffrey says, morning, Nolan, from Kruger National Park, South Africa. We love it. That is fun. Excited. We like when people tell us all these fun places they're watching the breakup from. Dean with his katakana name. Whoops. Dean with the katakana. Hope you're doing, wow, geez, it's moving. There we go. Dean. We got Cousin Vinny saying, love your stuff. Thank you, Cousin Vinny. We got Smartinez04 saying, morning, crew. Morning, Smartinez. We got Cuz Vinny saying, cheers again. And Andy Benton, guten Tag, Andy. So let's get into, we got some Moscow time. They're really good today. We got some funny ones. All right. We're going to talk about Mike Benz again today. We're big fans of Mike Benz, obviously. And but what would we have known, right? Would we have known that Rolling Stone was a Operation Mockingbird publication if it wasn't for Mike Benz? I don't know. We'd had a lot of trouble with it, right? We wouldn't necessarily have known. But now that we understand how to read Rolling Stone magazine, it's just funny. Isn't it the funniest? This is an actual headline from the Rolling Stone magazine. They used to focus on rock and roll. Now it's J.K. Rowling's diatribes about trans people here on X have completely taken over her timeline, and they're only getting worse. Isn't it funny? I can't wait for this new Harry Potter TV series. I think it's going to be amazing. I mean, those ingrates who did the movie, and the movies are going to look so terrible compared to the television show. When they actually do the whatever 9 hours per book, it's going to be amazing. And I think no one will ever remember they even made these movies. They're going to look so stupid, and all the dumb actors in it are going to be completely forgotten as a result. So I can't wait for J.K. Rowling's updated, renovated, better Harry Potter. It'll be awesome. So, speaking of British celebrities, J.K. Rowling, one of them, Rolling Stone, not liking her. The Guardian, we're going to talk about The Guardian today. They've supplied a lot of fake news today, so we're real happy about it. They're major contributors to Moscow Time. So they've taken issue now with Russell Brand, right? So it didn't work when they went with the rape thing last year. You know, he raped somebody 20 years ago. That didn't work out so well for them. Now they have a new problem, right? So he's still out there making content, and it probably actually affected his bottom line. I would imagine he's not doing as well financially as he was a year ago. And all of that has led him to change his life. He's become a Christian, right? So he's had a tough year. Now, I don't know what happened to him 20 years ago or whatever with the women. But what they're saying is he's been through a lot. Who knows? He's embraced Christianity. He's become a Christian. He got baptized the other day. Does The Guardian have anything to say about this that could be constructive or nice? Let's see. Let's see what The Guardian says. So Russell Brand was baptized in the Thames and all his sins were washed away. Cheaper than a lawyer, I suppose. Now, The Guardian wasn't done there. The Guardian yesterday went after Lomez. So Lomez is someone who you might see on X, Twitter. That's L0M3Z. And Lomez is a publisher of the new, what's this publication called? Can't remember right now. Anyway, I can't remember what it was called, but a lot of people love it. I've seen this guy on Twitter plenty. So they went out and they doxed him, right? So Lomez got doxed yesterday. And so here's the writer, Jason Wilson. I've ID'd the man behind the new right Twitter pseudonym Lomez. And Passage Press, that's what it is, Passage Press. Publisher of Steve Saylor, Curtis Yarvin. Oh my God, Curtis Yarvin. Curtis Yarvin, great for Bitcoiners, by the way. Look him up. So Lomez put it into context, and he says, The Guardian has exposed a family man with a loving wife and many beautiful children who played college basketball, worked for Google, traveled the world, then had a 10-year career in academia before starting a highly successful publishing company. I'm shook. Now, we got more about Garden. People were talking about it yesterday. It was pretty good. Ashley St. Clair underlining here, The Guardian articles now have a Wikipedia-style plea for donations where they cry about Donald Trump and Elon Musk, right? So, of course, again, let's go back to the Mike Benz framework. Here they say, another potential Donald Trump presidency looming. Let's have an analysis of what it means for America and democracy. And then at the end of the article, if you can, please consider supporting us just once, right? Just once. Or better yet, support us every month with a little more. Thank you. Elon Musk got into it and he says, The Guardian sucks donkey. I got a child in the room, so it sucks donkey stuff, right? Strong candidate for most misanthropic publication on earth is what Elon said about it. I'd say that's pretty good. And because everyone was making fun of it yesterday, we had to bring up this one. It's from 2003, so it's from a long time ago. All right, it's not a recent thing, but it is from. They actually wrote this. They published this in The Guardian. Should it really be a crime to look at child pee? Should it? They asked that question in 2003. I wanted to look at some pictures of child pee from the internet this week and then tell you about them, but I couldn't because my stupid modem broke. They published this in 2003. Should it really be a crime? I don't know. Who knows? Should it be a crime? Maybe. And then so now let's move forward to The Guardian, because I had to go look at what supply of Moscow Time we could get from them today. And this just happened to be there. The Guardian from today. Vulnerable children in England safer at school than at home. Not with Guardian journalists wondering. So remember, don't homeschool your kids, right? According to The Guardian, they got other ideas. They got other ideas. They're great ideas. All right, so we got more though. We got more. Let's leave The Guardian. We'll come back to The Guardian in a second because they're amazing. We got a few more Guardian references before Moscow Time's over. But let's get into just the pure fake news. What else do we have? We got New York Post. Mayor Adams suggests migrants could fill New York City's lifeguard shortage because they're excellent swimmers. Ayo! Ayo! Excellent swimmers. I would actually argue with that. I'm not sure they are good swimmers. I've been to some of these places. I feel like the only people swimming are not the locals, but that's just me. That's just me. All right. So now I'm going to file the next one. So we're still on the subject of migrants, right? New York trying to make a bit of benefit, right? Let's get some lifeguards going here, right? With these guys. That's pretty good. Germany, very confused, right? Germany is going to limit this is from the Associated Press. Germany limits cash benefit payments for asylum seekers. Critics say it's designed to curb migration. No, it's not. They love it. They love it. They want to just give them all the money. This is not for that, though. It's just a different reason, right? So, they're going to limit the cash benefits. Make them lifeguards. That's the right way to do it. Make them lifeguards. That'd be great. Oh, this one's great. So because I was so into all this British fake news, I had to bring it home a little bit. I started to get nostalgic for the Canadian flavor of fake news. So I had to go look at CTV this morning. A couple good ones. This one's awesome. Woman pleads guilty to plotting with neo-Nazis to attack Baltimore's power grid. I wonder if she was tricked into it. I don't know. We'll see. Civil society at high risk of cyber threats. State-sponsored actors, according to the CSE. FBI warns of threats to LGBTQS+. Don't forget the plus. CTV News loves putting in the plus. Go look at what the plus means. It's amazing, right? Plus events, right? So FBI warns of LGBTQ2S+ events, including Pride Month activities, right? So FBI warning you, don't go to the Pride Month. The Canadian news, this is news to Canada, all right, guys? If Jevy's in the house, he will, this is actually good. This is actually good. An imbalance of this is news to them, though. That's why I'm reading it. An imbalance of 2 healthy fats affects your early death risk, study finds, right? And what do they say here, right? We found that a higher omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is associated with a greater risk of dying. Now, have they put this into plain language? Have they just said straight up, seed oils kill you? Nah. They're not going to say that. They're not going to say that. All right. This one's good, too. This comes from the Toronto Star. And they're really worried about politicians' safety here, right? So politicians' safety. Hate politicians all you want, but you'll lose all the good ones if their lives are hell. We'll lose all the good ones, guys. So threats against elected officials are hardly new, but they're clearly taking a bigger toll than ever, with politicians at all levels calling it quits. A disproportionate number of them women and people of color. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful. There you go. Ezra Levant says the Toronto Star, the single largest recipient of Trudeau's media bailout, is 100% behind this new C-63 censorship bill. And he's talking about that headline. This isn't an op-ed, it's a grant application. So good. Okay, we got more from Canada, though, right? We got more from Canada, but we'll get there. This is from the Mail Online. Plus-size travel influencer who says slim flyers should subsidize free extra seats for fat flyers says she's been sent by God to push her message. That's just a good headline. It's just a good headline. CTV News says at the same time, though, when she lost weight, the comments about her body didn't stop, right? So these are not the same person. I just like this headline from CTV News, right? So here they're trying to suggest, like, don't lose weight, right? Because people are still going to make fun of you. So it's not worth it, right? The juice is just not worth the squeeze, right? When she lost weight, the comments about her body didn't stop. Oh, now, so when I saw the stuff on The Guardian, I said, I missed what's going on in Canada. So I went and checked that out. And I said, I still feel like there's more fake news out there today. I can find more. There's got to be more. There's always got to be more, right? So I found my way over to Reuters because it's another publication that Elon Musk made fun of yesterday. So he made fun of The Guardian, saying it was donkey, phallic donkey. So that was pretty good. But he also put up a meme that was pretty funny. It was a guy going for a job and saying, so a guy interviews him, what do you know? And he goes, I'm a complete idiot. And then he says, you're hired. And then he got hired at Reuters. So that kind of went viral. Anything Elon Musk touches on X obviously goes viral. So I said, well, I got to go find out what's going on Reuters today. What exactly are they cooking up for Moscow time over there? And I found a beauty. I found a real beauty. So Reuters politics. And it looks like they got to the bottom of inflation, guys. It looks like they figured it out, right? Here's their headline. Strong services. All right, guys, it's strong services. Fan U.S. producer inflation in April. Strong services. So it's what are the strong services? It's like accountants and lawyers. So because the services are strong, right? I guess they got a little better. So the services are now stronger than they were. So they got stronger services, right? So the strong services. What's fueling inflation? So you might have had to file your taxes last month, right? You hired an accountant. Strong services. There you go. They got inflation, right? So strong services. Love it. Reuters had more. They had more. They weren't done. This is going back to the UK. I guess the first minister of Wales is a black man, an African Welsh, I suppose. And Reuters says when he took office as First Minister of Wales in March, Vaughan Gething became the first black head of government in Europe. Yet he believes UK society is more overtly racist than a decade ago. Racist. Super racist, I bet. Reuters has more. They're not done. Donald Trump's comments and reposts on Truth Social blasting judges often triggered a furious response from his supporters. At least 150 posts on 3 pro-Trump websites urged the beating or killing of those judges from March 1st to April 30th. The beating or killing. All right, we got more from Reuters. We got more. Extreme temperatures throughout Asia last month were made worse and more likely as a result of human-driven climate change, a team of international scientists said on Wednesday. All right, so it was a little warm last month in Asia. Human-made extreme climate change, right? You know. This one's beautiful too. Summer... Just think about this for a second. Just think about the math. Think about the science on this, all right? It's the best. It's just amazing. Summer 2023 was the hottest in 2,000 years. 2,000 years. We have all, and it's just on planet Earth, okay? It's just the aggregate of the summer 2023 on Earth. It doesn't matter what side of the planet you're on. Maybe Argentina too, or Brazil in the south, Australia. It's all just 2023. Summer 2023, right? All of it. It's the hottest in 2,000 years. So I don't know if Jesus was around for the 1-2. He's around when he was born, I guess. It's around the time. So I don't know. I don't know who they asked, but I'm glad that data set is so verifiable. It's just awesome, right? 2,000 years of data around the world, so we can measure the temperature on planet Earth in all stratospheres on all corners of the world over 2,000 years. I don't know what you're saying. No. We don't have, they didn't have thermometers 2,000 years ago. They didn't even have thermometers in Australia or any of these places in Europe. So how did they do it? Well, they checked out the acorns, guys. They went and had a look at the acorns, and then they went down in Australia and they had a look at the desert, and they said, well, we know what temperature it was 2,000 years ago. Obviously. So for sure, guys, don't worry about it. They know it's 2,000 years. That's what it was. It was a 2,000-year record. Perfect. Just perfect. It's perfect. Now we got a couple here, and these are all from Georgia, right? We got both. Now we're going to put Reuters and The Guardian together, right? They're both covering this story, so it's important, right? It's important. What do they say about Georgia? Not Georgia, America, the other Georgia, right? Ever since Georgia's government announced in April that it was reviving a bill, this is from Reuters, that it was reviving a bill that would oblige NGOs to label themselves as foreign agents if they receive over 20% of their funding from abroad, young Georgians, right, have been at the forefront of the pushback, right? Because young Georgians, as we know, as can be implied from this article, they really want foreign interference into their elections. They're like, why aren't foreigners paying for more political campaigns in Georgia? That's the number one priority. How can it be, right? We want all NGOs to get more than 20% of their money from foreigners. What else? Come on, that's our right. It's our right. That's what they're all saying. I hear it. The Guardian also picking up on this. U.S. warns Georgia not to side with Moscow against the West. U.S. warns them, right? You got to let us give you money. Otherwise, we got more, though. Protesters shut down major intersection in Georgia and rally against foreign agents law. We want foreign agents. Can't you hear the cries for freedom in Georgia? They looked over at what happened in Ukraine when they got all those foreign agents. It was the best. And they want the same. Please give me the foreign agents. I want foreign agents to come and help us. We're too stupid. We need the foreign agents. Please. Right. So we'll see. Maybe they'll get their foreign agents over there. And what's going on in Ukraine? What's happening over in Ukraine, right? Well, yesterday they've decided that elections are canceled. And even if there's a peace treaty or a ceasefire, is Ukraine going to get elections? No. They're just canceled forever. Doesn't matter. They're canceled. We had Anthony Blinken over there yesterday. So Blinken goes over there, says elections are canceled forever. We don't need them. And his whole line was the Ukrainian elections will only take place when all Ukrainians can vote, even the ones that live in the Russian-controlled areas. So no ceasefire, nothing will do. It's only until Russia leaves will they get elections again. And so there you go. It ain't going so well. And when he was done, he decided to go play "Keep on Rockin' in the Free World." He's a musician, so he goes over and strums his guitar at a concert last night in Kiev. It's not going over so well today. And Scott Adams writes, capitulation phase. Apparently he didn't bring his fiddle. Which is just kind of funny, right? Indeed, now that we understand a little more about these NGOs, so that's our Moscow Time. We're going to move into our theme for the day. Thank you for enjoying Moscow Time for today, guys. Thank you for enjoying Moscow Time. We got some folks saying, how long have they been reporting the weather? Yeah, good morning from beautiful Marco Island. Oh, amazing. We love Marco Island. I almost lived in Sanibel. That was a plan at one point in my life. But I'm a fan of Marco Island. I was maybe going to stay in St. James or Sanibel, but we didn't do it. All right. So speaking of those NGOs, we got this from Maddie Rowley. She says, I spent 4 months investigating the web of NGOs facilitating the Biden administration migrant crisis. These taxpayer-funded groups are pulling in billions of dollars and lavishing themselves with salaries and bonuses. So what did we hear from Mike Benz about these NGOs? Now go and see what we're hearing in Georgia, right? So for a long time, we've understood that these NGOs are a major part of color revolutions. El Salvador knows all about this, of course. We hear Bukele all the time talking about the corrupt NGOs and how they keep sitting there. Well, what's the cost of El Salvador's safety? What's the cost? All this nonsense comes from the NGOs, right? The NGOs are the ones that are out there trying to information launder. It's actually how the information laundering system works, right? You pay these people and they get their whatever 100K a year to say, well, I think we need more democracy over here, and I think you need to add a touch of democracy there, and we got to protect our democracy here. And what ends up happening is these folks become citable after, and they can be used as a reference because they're experts. But the information laundering system relies on the credibility of these NGOs. Now, what we understand on the other side is these NGOs have been corrupted a long time ago and are used as a tool by the deep state, or whatever we want to call it, by and Mike Benz has underlined this for a long time. So Maddie Rowley, and this was published as well in this was also published in what's his name's thing, Schellenberger was picking it up yesterday. So here's what we found out from the Free Press. Nonprofits are making billions off the border crisis. Now, Bitcoiners understand that following the money is a really useful lens. It's probably the first lens you should apply on every story, right? The first thing you should do when you see any fake news story coming from the media industrial complex is, first of all, ask, where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the incentive here, right? If you follow the money, you'll get closer to reality. The next filter I usually put after that is incompetence explains more than malice, right? So I'll always give the benefit of the doubt for these people being stupid before I confirm that they're evil, right? So follow the money gives you a bit of a lot of understanding. After that, you assume they're incompetent until you can prove with some verifiable activity that they're actually evil, right? But that definitely happens, right? So on this NGO thing, what we see even from Georgia, and this is the Michael Schellenberger piece. So he's followed yesterday all of these NGOs down in Brazil. So like El Salvador, like Ukraine, like Georgia, we know the formula of a color revolution. These color revolutions rely on NGOs. They rely on the information laundering system. They rely on credentialism. They rely on these cutouts that say, we're democratic. And now Michael Schellenberger got deep into what the Soroses and their open societies are doing down in Brazil. And he writes, George Soros and his son Alex Soros say they want to create open societies, but they don't. Around the world, including in Brazil, they are working with the US government to spread disinformation, demand censorship, and kill off civil society. So he goes into it. The largest donor to the Democrat Party has funneled over $62 million into Brazil to kill off civil society by creating US government-funded NGOs that spread misinformation and demand censorship. So here he underlines what's going on, right? An extremist, imperialist global conspiracy aimed at misleading the public and undermining democracy was behind the April 3rd, 2024 publication of the Twitter Files Brazil, say leading Brazilian journalists, researchers, and social media influencers. Intercept Brazil claimed that the U.S. House Judiciary Committee, which had produced a report on censorship in Brazil, inspired by the Twitter Files Brazil, was defending neo-Nazi groups to attack Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes. This is that guy who just looks like a absolute central casting villain. You know, the guy from Brazil who was going after Elon. NetLab, a research laboratory based in the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, on April 24th, claimed in a report that Musk had used bots or fake users to criticize de Moraes on X. And a YouTube influencer named Felipe Neto, who has 46 million followers, I never even heard of this guy, claimed on ICL, a public TV station, that the Twitter Files were Musk's attempt to manipulate public opinion through pseudo-journalists, right? Pseudo-journalists. So that's like Mike Benz is a pseudo-journalist, apparently, and Schellenberger is a pseudo-journalist, right? But none of these claims are true. The House Judiciary Report did not defend neo-Nazis. It simply listed them among many other cases of censorship. There is no evidence to support NetLab's conspiracy theory that Musk unleashed a bot attack. NetLab likely mislabeled authentic users as bots, but it's impossible to know since the report is self-published, obscures its methodology, and can't be replicated. And as my colleagues Michael Schellenberger and Eli Vieira have repeatedly noted in Portuguese and English on X in numerous articles, and while testifying twice before Brazil's Congress, we are not part of any conspiracy. Musk did not know we would publish the Twitter Files Brazil, nor did the Brazilian politicians who reacted to them. Even so, the conspiracy theories about Twitter Files Brazil have had a major impact. Minister Alexandre de Moraes summoned Google executives to testify based solely on the NetLab report and its media coverage after the Lula government official initiated an investigation and the president of Brazil's Chamber of Deputies, equivalent to the House of Representatives of the United States, filed a criminal complaint. None of the individuals or think tanks who spread this conspiracy theory ever bothered to reach out to interview any of us. No major news media outlet debunked the NetLab study. Rather, they endorsed it. One prominent journalist, Leandro de Mori, published personal information about me. And yet all of these individuals and institutions claim to be gravely concerned about the impact of misinformation on democracy, constantly warn of conspiracy theories, and condemn attacks on journalists. Why are Brazilian think tanks and news organizations spreading misinformation about the Twitter Files Brazil? Who was behind the attacks, right? Well, now we know. The Soroses have been obviously involved in a bunch of this stuff. And again, follow the money is much more insightful on any of this stuff than debunking and research and all this shit. Once you see the financial flows, once you see money going from one person to the other, it explains all curiosity, all rabbit hole, all investigations, why they stop, why they proceed, why they're framed in a certain way. It proves again that none of this data means anything, that none of these people you can trust, and the entire information laundering complex is now so obvious to people. We know the entire game plan. We can see the color revolution formula from a mile out. There's no way we can miss it now. We see it in America. We see it in Georgia. And that's why the Georgia thing, you see all these people, oh, we got to defend young people, really want foreign influence into their politics. They can't wait, right? We can see just how fake it all is. It becomes so obvious. And the more and more we see this stuff, the more and more we understand that the corrupt media and the corrupt judiciaries that we have are not really going to save the day for the corrupt institutions, right? Their power is weakening and weakening. And the whole labeling of people, the whole way the information laundering system works, you're a Nazi, you're a racist, we're the good people. This whole scam is without effect anymore. We've seen the universities completely become impotent, right? Universities in America cannot make fun of anyone anymore. They're so corrupted and they've been so denuded, they've been so exposed that their ability to sway public opinion is at an all-time low. Christopher Rufo talking about that, right? Christopher Rufo, who's done a lot to destroy these people. Christopher Rufo, one of the heroes of this story, right, says the following. Let me get his quote, which I've got somewhere here. Christopher Rufo, he says, it's not 2020 anymore. Look at how much has changed, right? Look at how much has changed since 2020. It's not 2020 anymore. Smearing and doxing has lost its power. Look at the two cases of doxing I've mentioned here. The Lomex one, or the Lomez one, right? He's laughing. He's like, yeah, you found me. I'm rich, successful, with a family who loves me. Oh, no. Oh, no, right? Now, it sucks to be doxed, for sure. It for sure sucks, but it's not the kind of thing that's going to change the conversation at all, right? So we see this stuff happen again and again, and it just doesn't have the effect that it once had. We're seeing them try to astroturf this argument for a color revolution in Georgia without effect, just not functioning, not operating. And so Christopher Rufo says, smearing and doxing has lost its power. The right no longer accepts the premise. If anything, it has become a status marker. The regime only goes after the significant. And with each failed attempt, the threat becomes weaker, the opposition stronger. You know, I brag in Canada that I was made a terrorist. That it's like I can't help it, right? Like people will ask me, you know, why do you do things this way in Canada? And I'll say, well, I'm a terrorist. What do you mean? Like I can't do anything but this. For things like why I don't have a stupid bank card for Canada or things like that, right? I'm not capable anymore, and I wear that as a badge. I love that the Canadian government thought of me as that. It's hilarious. There's nothing funnier, right? And people who know me, because it's usually NPCs that don't really know what's going on in the world, couldn't imagine that I'd have got caught up in the truckers thing in the way that I did. And I'll tell them, right, well, and they'll go, that doesn't make any sense. I was like, well, it makes perfect sense. What are you talking about? So it's actually really funny to watch people's brains try to get around what happened, because most Canadians try to ignore the truckers thing because they just can't handle the truth that Canada is a complete and total shithole and won't survive any of this stuff. What they did with the truckers by flexing the banking muscle the way they did is probably the end of the country, as far as I can tell. Like, I don't think Canada makes it through this. It's almost impossible. It's a few things compounded one on top of the other, but the idea that Alberta is going to stick around in this country is absurd. Quebec doesn't need to be around. If there's no incentive for Quebec, if Canada can't pay Quebec off, it doesn't stay in the country. So Canada finished because of the martial law declared through banking, which is perfect, right? It's just going to work itself out over the years. I can't imagine anyone saving this dump. It's just not possible. Canada will be better off this way. They'll be rich, and you know, they should be rich already. So there you go. But now go back to what's going on, for example, with Ukraine, right? We've seen this color revolution thing. We've seen it play out a few times. I mentioned earlier that you had Blinken playing his Keep on Rockin' in the free world. They also tried to bring Karine Jean-Pierre around, right? Karine Jean-Pierre was asked to explain it, right? Again, she goes on about, right? Oh, the people of Georgia, they really want freedom. The young people, they want it. But of course, she's the least persuasive person ever. She spent yesterday, now imagine this, right? In this interview, She's asked about the Biden-led witch hunt against President Trump, right? And you know what her answer is? Just to show you how turned around and betwixt and between this woman is. She says, I can't talk about things related to the 2024 election. So Corinne Jean-Pierre, she was asked about a legal proceeding and admitted accidentally that it had everything to do with the election and it wasn't really a legal proceeding, that the Stormy Daniels thing was stupid and that it was related to the 2024 election, which is just perfect, right? So she looked as full of capitulation as Blinken did when he was playing his guitar. These people looked hilarious yesterday. Hilarious. Just can't be funnier. Can't be funnier. The persuasion is like trying to watch a well, I got a kid here. I had a sexual joke, but I'm not going to say it because it was a bit sketchy. So and maybe not funny. So it wasn't landing in my head straight enough. So watching this capitulation, watching this stuff go on, of course, yesterday they can't even talk about the Ukrainian elections. They have to ignore it. So they're being asked about all this stuff. Meanwhile, you've got Dan Goldman, right? Dan Goldman has sort of taken over in the Democrat Party as the go-to liar. He's one of those people that will lie. There's not a lot of them that will do that. Not every one of them that will do it. We had Peter Schiff for a long time. He's one of those people that he'll lie about anything. When you see him trotted out, what you have to understand in the back of your head is that they're sending someone who will lie about anything. And there's only so many people who will do that. So it should be a signal whenever Peter Schiff is called upon for public talking points to distribute talking points on the news that you're getting a certain lie, and a lie so far-fetched that 90% of the liars in Congress wouldn't be willing to say it in public. Like, it's a standard of lying that's really high. Goldman is one of those people that will go that far. He'll say things that are so objectively fake and lying that he's one of the few that has the skills and the threshold needed to come out and say it. So whenever you see him, right, he's the heir to the Levi Strauss fortune, right? So he comes out and he is just the most obvious liar. And so yesterday so he's a liar, but none of them are that good at it, right? They're all pretty obvious. They have all the tells of a liar. They stink of lies. They have no real credibility about them at all. The only people who could take them seriously are the people who are such NPCs that they can't tell the difference between a scripted, bought and paid for politician and an honest person. That they all look the same to them. So he yesterday was talking about how he's been meeting with Michael Cohen to prepare him for the testimony. So just to show you how corrupt the U.S. justice system has become, right? And how lacking in credibility it is now, and how we should all laugh at it because it lacks all credibility. Sean Davis reminded us the judge's daughter got paid by Goldman. So the judge in the case, his daughter had some job with him. How on earth can someone who pays off the judge's family deliberately coaching witnesses in the trial and call it a fair trial? You can't. The whole thing is a farce, which we love, right? We love it. And this is the thing about the daughter. Is it a coincidence that the Democrat star witness Michael Cohen has been working with Democrat Rep Dan Goldman to prepare for cross-examination, and that Dan is a customer of acting Justice Merchant's daughter? How much is Dan paying Lauren Merchant? Which we just love, right? Which we just loves. Now, again, the Stormy Daniels case is so obviously stupid, so obviously corrupt, that anyone who's giving it a second of credibility, you have to understand that it's 100% certain that they're involved in fake news, information laundering, and that they should never be taken credibly. Everyone in the game knows it's fake. Even the people on CNN, even the people on MSNBC. It's not one of those instances where maybe there's a corner where you could think it's normal and that there is a legal case there. It's nothing like that, right? What you see is either mental illness or absolute tyranny. It's one of the two. Now, you can see the mental illness is there. There's people who believe this. I saw on The View, they're saying the problem with the Stormy Daniels case is the media isn't covering it enough. They're giving him a way out because we're not seeing door-to-door, back-to-back coverage of this. So that's just the mental illness part. Now, the corrupt part would be like the Dan Goldmans, right? So it's either mental illness or corruption. There is no in-between about the Stormy Daniels thing. And if you see anyone in your life that is like Stormy Daniels, rapist stuff, it's very obvious, right? Just tell them, are you stupid or are you a liar? It's one of the two. It's one of the two. Are you stupid or are you a liar? That should be your only response to them. Not, this is true about Stormy. Did you hear that Trump did this? What about the letter that Stormy signed saying it never happened? What about all that? Don't bother with the arguments. No. Give them a choice. Are you stupid, right? Are you dumb, or are you completely corrupted? Which one? There is no in between. Are you stupid? Do you suffer from mental illness? I'm sorry about that. Or are you in the bag and corrupted? Which is it, right? So don't argue the details. Force them into this choice of stupidity or corruption, because it's the only way, right? That's the only two options. There is nothing else. Now, while all this is happening, right now, we see very clearly, if we follow the money, the information laundering system completely broken, the ability of this information laundering system to create a contrast by calling people racist, and then they're the democratic good ones. That's all broken. That doesn't work. The court system also broken, not working. Follow the money there. Very obviously corrupted. Very obviously operating on double standards. Very obviously not supporting any pretension that America is existing within a rule of law system or anything like that, right? We understand the republic is long gone. The tatters that are left are barely enough to build back. I can't imagine we'll ever be able to build back a federal version of the republic. There'll be some democratic elements, I think, that persist within US states, but what's left of the federal government just needs to be dismantled, needs to be burnt to the ground. And when you see that contrast, when you see exactly what's going on with federal institutions and the lack of credibility, and then you contrast that, right, the information laundering system that we can all recognize now, that we can all see, we can all dispel the myths of its power, of its persuasiveness, because we can tell the results. It doesn't work anymore, and it's just running up against a wall, and it's being supported by some of the lowest IQ people around, right? When you lose a lot of intelligent people like the Democrats have, or the fiat system has, or all of that, right? When you lose these intelligent people, it's hard to replace them, and it doesn't look like it's going to work very well. But now contrast with what we see with NGOs, with the fiat information propagation systems, and all of that stuff. And we contrast it with some amazing stuff that's happened in Bitcoin in the past couple of days, right? So first of all, go back to the Vanguard piece, right? So all that fiat laundering and everything like that, one of the largest asset managers in the world, Vanguard. You got Citadel and you got Vanguard. Remember, they famously did not join the Bitcoin ETF. Oh, they're on principles. It's for money launderers. All the same shit that you hear from the NGOs and the experts and the know-it-alls and the researchers and the fiat propagation system, all these things. So they come out, and now they had to fire their CEO because they had such a financial loss by not participating in the ETF so far this year. And they end up hiring the guy who was in charge of the BlackRock ETF filing. So Vanguard names Salim Ramji as the new CEO. So the guy they went out and got was BlackRock's point guy on the Bitcoin ETF. So it looks like the smart people and the rich people are done with the information launderers. And this is a big deal, right? When you see money peeling away because it realizes that it's not going to get returns by siding with the winners, right, who are now obviously the losers. When you see them not siding with these people, what it's actually saying is the preponderance of predictions, where these financial bettors, gamblers think the world is going, is not towards the Corinne Jean-Pierres and the researchers say Bitcoin is bad for blah, blah, blah. That's over, right? What they're doing here, and you can see it from, I saw some big Canadian banks yesterday admitting they own Bitcoin, the Bank of Montreal. We've seen one of the largest banks in the United States saying, US Bank Corp, or whatever it's called, admitting they're keeping Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Now one of these other ones into the game, right? Now a BlackRock specialist is taking over. Exactly. Yeah. So when you see all this stuff start to add up, you start to understand that rich people, rich organizations who are somewhat apolitical in the sense that they just want returns, right? Now, if they can use corruption of politics to get returns, they'll do that. So it's not to say that they're honest, non-sentimental brokers. There is sentimentality based on the bets they've already placed. They want the bet to win. So the sentimentality, of course, is I want the folks that I bet on to win. But when they have to course correct, like Vanguard has, they're making a larger bet. They're making a larger bet here. They're betting on the human capital behind these different things. And when they see the human capital behind the stupid ESG funds and all that, they realize it's a bunch of idiots and they can't make money there. They see where they can make money, and it's in Bitcoin. So that's why they're headed over there. That's why they've changed the entire direction of the company, the head of the company. So the head of the company, one could imagine, was someone who still was like, what did they say in the Wall Street Journal about Bitcoin? Oh my God. Maybe someone who's too stupid to even know that Jamie Dimon's point of view was a farce. Like Jamie Dimon, we know, also has it, right? Wisteria saying, watch what they do, not what they say. Exactly, right? So Jamie Dimon was a perfect example of this. And as I've said many times, I've known what was going on in both Jamie Dimon's office and the BlackRock office. My old office at CoinDesk when I lived in New York City was on between 49th and 50th, right off of Fifth Avenue. And that means that I was about 2 blocks away from the JP Morgan office and about 2 blocks away from the BlackRock office. They're both in Midtown. The JP Morgan office would have been between my office and Grand Central Station, which is about 4 blocks away. And so I'd have to go south just 2 blocks. And if I went north 2 blocks, I would get to BlackRock's building. And I went to both many times. I was invited many times to go in there. And the people I'd usually meet weren't obscure people in some lower office. They were people who had direct reporting to the CEOs, both Larry Fink and Jamie Dimon. These people, they didn't meet with them every day. They met with them enough. And I could tell by the questions they were asking, they were not stupid. They knew exactly what was going on. They understood all of these edge cases. They weren't talking to me as if it was some tech invention. They understood exactly what was going on. They asked intelligent questions. They asked really insightful things, which made me realize it was not a case of ignorance going on in these offices. There was a real argument being made, and exactly what we've seen now: tricks, manipulations, feints, deceptions, distractions. That's what was happening. I could have predicted it 5 years ago. You'd have heard Jamie Dimon calling it money laundering tech for years while buying. That was obvious to me. BlackRock as well. Now, I don't think I'm a genius for figuring that out. A lot of people saw it. It was very obvious if you had any contact with them. But here we are, right? So, but it gets better, guys. It gets better. We've also got a few things coming out of, going back to this story about the NGOs, right? So the NGOs, as we've seen, right? NGOs, a big part of this information laundering system, a big part of what the previous regime at Vanguard would have cited as a reason for not getting exposure to Bitcoin. Oh, the NGOs say it's being used for blah, 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 criminality, right? That kind of stuff. That's how the information laundering system worked. And you saw them try to seed this stuff with El Salvador for years, right? El Salvador, they're going to lose all their money Bitcoin. Oh my God, they're doing this, they're doing that. Well, yesterday, the fake news had to admit that El Salvador used the volcano, the energy from the volcano, and they've mined about 474 Bitcoin with that over the last 3 years. So that's $30 million into the coffers of El Salvador from volcano energy, right? Doing a lot. This is the country they told that all the NGOs said, dump, shithole, gonna go to hell, gonna make it a hell on earth, not using fiat, they're gonna go bankrupt, it's gonna be a disaster. What happened? Bonus, absolute bonus, right? And now they're even innovating. I don't know if you guys saw this. They, of course, created the Bitfinex securities platform, so Bitfinex can issue securities out of El Salvador. And they've already tokenized a hotel here. We'll see how it works. But there's a tokenized hotel investment in El Salvador. We're seeing, and this comes from the Bitcoin office in El Salvador. You know, this is something that's been tried a bunch, but nevertheless, with this legal structure, they're going to give it a shot in El Salvador. I think you're going to get people interested. You're going to get so many more people who are trying to allocate capital to interesting things in El Salvador because they want to see it work. There's so much of a emotional desire on the part of Bitcoiners to see El Salvador work and be successful that you can imagine very easily people getting involved in this just to prove that it works. So things are going great, guys. Things are going great. Who could complain, right? We got the fiat propagation nodes using their NGO propagation systems, failing entirely. We've got Bitcoin stuff going wild, doing very successful. El Salvador just becoming an absolute perfect example to follow, modeling how a Bitcoin country becomes established, how it breaks away from the fiat mold, how it resists all of these attempts to shame it and call it names using the information laundering system. We're winning, guys. We're winning. No way we're losing. All right. Let's see what the folks are saying, and then my little daughter here is going to need some attention. Young men in Ukraine are intentionally committing crimes. Yeah, they send them anyway, though, Jeffy, unfortunately. They send them intentionally anyway. Oxenpick is the next Vioxx. I don't know what Oxenpick is, Jeffy. I'll look it up, though. I will look it up. Chiron says, my wife is Jamaican. The islanders, for the most part, can't fish or swim. You know, that's one thing that's very different about Barbados. But the locals will tell me that the locals in Barbados can't swim well, but it's much more than other islands. It's not even close. So there you go. 100% winning, Bitcoin Deb says. Wisteria says, love it. Don't we love it? Don't we love it? Everyday Walking with Christ says, good morning to you all, Bitcoin Maxis, and God bless you all. Stack, stack, stack. Indeed. Indeed. Stack, stack, stack. Cousin Vinny, are all these stories really printed in the alleged news? Yes, they are, Cousin Vinny. I wouldn't do you dirty like that. I only bring the legit fake news. I don't mess with fake news. And that's not easy, because it's hard to tell the difference, by the way. Like, it's not easy. Babylon Bee can put out a headline any day, and I got to look. I got to make sure I can tell the difference. People can doctor headlines. You got to be very careful. So I bring you the real fake news. I fact check the fake news, guys. I make sure it's really fake, okay? Not made by your friend to look like a fake news story. No. I don't do Photoshop fake news. It's got to be published by the fake news outlet to make it to Moscow time. If I ever mistake that, if I ever get that wrong, it's a mistake. Call it out, please, because the job of Moscow time is to give you the fake news headlines as they write them without any comments. Okay. And they've got to be legitimately fake. I can't go out there and get a Babylon Bee headline, but that's the challenge. It's just that they're the same, right? So it's not easy. It's not easy. You got to go to your sources. I need legit sources to get that good fake news. But cousin, it is really fake. It's honest to God published. I wouldn't do you dirty like that. I give you the fake stuff, right? There you go. There you go. Good morning from PA. We love it. Can't wait to see you in Montreal Bitcoin Conference. Good times, rock and roll. Yeah, I will be there tomorrow. Fact check to make sure it's fake. I do. You have to, Bitcoin Deb. You got to fact check that to make sure it's fake. If you don't fact check to make sure it's fake, I might as well just read the Babylon Bee. I might as well read the stuff that's intentionally humorous. I'm not going for intentionally humorous. I'm going for accidentally humorous, right? That their worldview is so twisted that they can't tell the difference. So that's the real Moscow time, right? The hallucinations. You need strong hallucinatory levels. If you see the hallucination is at the top, you got it. Then you're in the right place. All right, team. That's all I got for today. Hope you're doing well. I shall see y'all tomorrow. I'm glad we're getting back on track. Love we're getting back on track. All right, everyone. Peace. Have a great day.